Okay, so this is my current rig that I use for filming a lot of the stuff. So this is iPhone XR, which is a definite improvement over the iPhone 7 Plus that I had been using for a lot of my other videos. This device is the Smooth Q. This thing is wicked. I have used this for a very long time under harsh conditions, and you can see the movement and everything else is pretty fluid. It does a good job. I can lock it down. I can set it up like about there. Wherever I want, I can have it just move it by the joystick if I wish. And this is where you can do your movements running along with somebody, and it holds it very nicely. It also, when you set it up like that, you can adjust it and put it where you want. I do it too, and that way it does a follow focus basically wherever I move it to. It comes with its own app. I don't like the app as far as it doesn't allow for the full throughput of all the data that you can record. It does the standard Apple compression, which if you're shooting for some high-end video, you don't want that. So you want to be able to get in at least a minimum of 70 some on the HEVC codec, or pop it in at 120 or 200. So this, I have to counterbalance the extra weight of the XR with the moment case on it. And the moment lens is this wide angle lens that I use. The moment lens, which has, at least because this case that they've got, they had some problems with their production. They're sending me out a new case because it doesn't seat the lens properly. They sent me out one, but they're retooling them and they're going to send me another one. And that allows this to set down in there properly. But let me go through some of the other things. This is all for my own attachments, so I put a little bit of my own Velcro on here. This is the RØDE VideoMicro, and it's an excellent microphone. I'm not using that currently. I'm using a lav mic that, again, it's from Movo, and I'll go into that. It's not the one I would use all the time at all, but if it's a cheap one and so forth. But this is actually pretty cheap too, but there's like a very low noise floor. And the only thing to make this work, the VideoMicro in here, is that you do have to have this little adapter to go into the phone. So the phone has its own adapter. This looks silly hanging out there, but if this was a lighter phone, I wouldn't have to have that, because the Smooth Q is able to take the lighter phones and handle them easily, because I'm putting on extra weight, and because I have to offset this to put this little connector on here, which is just a simple Apple connector. And I basically am taking this, originally comes out from here on the VideoMicro in just a 2 ring to a 3 ring adapter. So that's this little connector here. This is a converter that basically has a little assist, I think, on the preamp. It does make the signal a little bit better going through there. Velcro is your friend. This little rig is a nice little extension that I got, again, Amazon. You pull it up $5 to $7 or something like that. This came off of one of my other rigs for a head mount camera, and you can get those as well. They're just adapters, and you can get a ton of different range of how you need to aim your microphone, because sometimes you're doing this in inverted mode, and which is actually a pretty nice mode, nice and low slung, so you can get that in play. Sometimes you need that flexibility so that you can have the microphone adjust to whoever is speaking at the time or the sounds that you want to capture at the time. And it does come with that little fuzzy dead cat. Came with this nice little stand here, which I just thoroughly enjoy. It's metal, and again, that was just a deal that was on Amazon at that time, but if you can find it with this little thing, this is pretty solid. I use this all the time. In fact, I use this a lot for some of those times where I want to shoot way overhead. This is metal. These have taken a beating too. all of this stuff we put through some hard testing. Even got sprinkling on it a little bit with rain. Not recommended on any stabilizer like that or like this, but it weathered it. We got it in pretty quickly, but it was able to handle that. And we dried it off before we could do anything else. It also has a little plug that's for your charge, but it also has another one back here, so if you need to power some of your own other equipment with a USB connector, you can actually tap into the power on this thing. Now, under heavy use, I can get about 5 hours of charge on that, so that's pretty wicked. That's not bad for such a small device. And this is the rig that I use quite a bit, and it works really well. You can see it's got good responsiveness. It holds the stability for whatever I'm needing it for. It actually does a very good job, regardless of how much I introduce into it, as far as body motion and things like that. And so now I'll put on the moment lens here so you get an idea of how that looks. I have to counterbalance it, so I'm going to turn this off here, and that way it shuts it off really quickly. I don't have to worry about it. So you can see where this is balanced about here. When I put on the moment lens, again, these are all makeshift. These are just some 25 or 50 cent pieces that I put in there with some Velcro. And the moment lens, pop this up here in the case, and we line up the little mark there and we turn it. So now you can see that the weight is really slammed heavily to that side. I turn this out and we adjust its bearing there just a little bit till we're about there. Lock it into play. Smooth Q handles that amount of weight on, as long as you're balancing it properly, it works really well. So if this is balanced improperly, meaning you've got it off center a little bit or too heavily weighted one side or the other, the motor will fatigue, it'll start getting hot, and then it'll just shut off. So you've got three separate motors on here. Usually this is the one that fails in that case, and it drops, it just shuts off. This is still on, it's still heating up, so you just turn it off, rebalance, and it works really well. This has occurred more than once, just under heavy load, and it was just misaligned a little bit, and then over time it's like it did what it could before it failed. And this is a long time running, so I've done this a lot as far as use this heavy lens under load with this extra counterweight, filming, keeping it nice and smooth. I really highly recommend. This is a cheap stabilizer, but it'll handle an iPhone XR with a moment lens attachment, sliding out far enough so that I can put in an adapter for the VideoMicro here, and it does a really good job. So there's no complaints with this thing. It does not let me down at all. So I think they're running around under $100 right now, and worth every penny. And again, I don't get paid for this. This is just something we use, and I'm sharing that with you. Highly recommended. You got a smaller phone, it's going to last forever. This has lasted quite a long time. Extreme use. I do a minimum of 3 uploads a week for YouTube, and we shoot probably 20 hours a week on this easily. And using this stabilizer, it does an excellent job. It's heavy use, and this thing has not let me down yet. I can't say enough good stuff about it. Okay.